The stars around the Kepler 442 system burned cold and distant, their light reflecting off the massive hulls of 47 alien warships. Each ship stretched over a kilometer long, their crystal surfaces catching and bending starlight into rainbow patterns. These were the vessels of the Zephyrian hegemony, and they had come to take what they wanted. Warcaster Thurok stood 12 feet tall on the bridge of his flagship, the Crystal Fang. His forearms moved across control panels with practiced ease while his chitinous armor gleamed under the bridge lights. Like all Zephyrians, he was built for war. His race had conquered dozens of worlds, and today would be no different. "Status report," Thurok commanded, his voice rumbling through the bridge. "All ships maintain formation around New Carthage," replied his tactical officer. "The human colony ships cannot leave the planet. Our blockade is perfect." Thurok's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. The mineral-rich world below held enough rare elements to fund the hegemony's expansion for centuries. The humans who had settled there were weak creatures who would learn to accept Zephyrian rule or face consequences. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we have a hyperspace signature incoming." "Another colony ship trying to escape?" Thurok asked with amusement. "Negative, sir. Single vessel, military configuration." Through the main view screen, space twisted and bent as something dropped out of hyperspace. Thurok expected to see another crystal ship, perhaps from one of the other great powers coming to challenge their claim. Instead, what appeared made him pause. The ship was small, barely 800 meters long. Its hull was gray metal, scarred and patched from countless journeys. It looked like the cargo haulers that humans used to move supplies between their worlds. Box-like and ugly, it had none of the elegant curves of proper warships. "Is this some kind of joke?" asked the tactical officer. Thurok studied the vessel on his screen. The human ship drifted silently, making no aggressive moves. Its energy readings were minimal. No powerful shields, no exotic weapon signatures. It looked exactly like what it appeared to be. An old, worn-out freight ship that had wandered into the wrong system. "Open a channel," Thurok ordered. The main screen shifted to show the bridge of the human vessel. A woman in a simple blue uniform sat in the captain's chair. She appeared young by human standards, with short dark hair and calm brown eyes. Behind her, other humans worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth ship Prometheus," she said in clear, measured tones. "You are in violation of the Galactic Accords by blockading human colonial space. I am ordering you to withdraw immediately." Silence filled Thurok's bridge for several seconds. Then one by one his officers began to laugh. The sound grew until it echoed through the chamber. Even Thurok found himself joining in, his deep rumble mixing with the others. "Did she say ordering?" gasped the tactical officer between laughs. "Look at that ship." Another officer pointed at the screen. "It looks like it should be hauling grain, not making demands of the hegemony." Thurok raised a hand for silence. When his bridge crew quieted, he leaned forward toward the communication screen. "Little human," he said, making no effort to hide his amusement. "I think you are lost. This is a military blockade, not a shipping lane. Take your cargo hauler and leave before you embarrass yourself further." Captain Vasquez's expression did not change. "I will ask one more time. Withdraw from this system or face the consequences." This brought fresh laughter from the Zephyrian crew. Thurok's mandibles spread wide in what his species considered a grin. "Consequences?" he repeated. "From that floating scrap heap? Human, do you see my fleet? 47 ships of the line, each one capable of glassing your pathetic colonies. Your little freight ship couldn't scratch the paint on our hulls." On the human bridge, Captain Vasquez turned to speak quietly with one of her officers. Thurok caught only a few words. "Primary systems and charging sequence." He assumed they were preparing to run. "Sir," his sensor operator called out, "I'm reading unusual energy patterns from the human ship." "What kind of patterns?" "Unknown configuration. The readings don't match any weapon system in our database." Thurok waved a dismissive hand. "Probably their engines overheating. These primitive humans barely understand fusion power." He turned back to the communication screen where Captain Vasquez was speaking with her crew. She appeared calm, almost relaxed. This puzzled Thurok. Most species showed fear when faced with the might of the hegemony. Humans were supposed to be especially emotional creatures. "Captain," Thurok called out, "since you seem confused about your situation, let me explain. You have stumbled into a military operation, Your species is new to galactic civilization and clearly doesn't understand how things work. We are claiming this system for the greater good of all civilized races. The Galactic Accords say otherwise, Vasquez replied. The Accords are suggestions, not laws. Power makes law, and we have power. Thurok gestured to his fleet display. Count our ships, human. Count your ships. Basic mathematics should tell you how this ends. Captain Vasquez looked directly at him through the screen. Mathematics can be surprising, Warcast Thurok. Sometimes 1 equals 0. What does that mean? You'll understand soon enough. She turned to her crew. All stations, final systems check. Dr. Chen, status on Damocles? Charging to full capacity, Captain. We'll be ready in 60 seconds, Thurok frowned. Damocles? That name wasn't in any intelligence files about human weapons. He made a mental note to have his analysts research it after they captured the ship. Sir, his tactical officer reported, the human vessel is moving to a new position. On the display, the Prometheus was slowly adjusting its orientation, putting more distance between itself and the Zephyrian fleet. To Thurok, it looked like the humans were preparing to run. Should we pursue? Asked the tactical officer. Thurok considered this. The human captain had shown impressive courage in the face of impossible odds, even if it was foolish courage. Perhaps she deserved a chance to retreat with honor. Not yet, he decided. Let them increase distance. When they try to jump to hyperspace, we'll disable their engines and take them alive. I want to question this brave little captain about human military capabilities. The Prometheus continued its slow retreat, now 50,000 kilometers from the nearest Zephyrian ships. Thurok watched with growing respect for the human commander. She was conducting an orderly withdrawal under pressure, keeping her crew calm in an impossible situation. Sir, should we hail them again? Asked the communications officer. No, let them think they're escaping. We'll close the trap soon enough. Thurok looked at the small human ship on his screen. It truly was pathetic compared to his mighty fleet. Whatever weapon this Damocles was, it couldn't possibly threaten ships designed to survive planetary bombardments. Still, something about Captain Vasquez's calm confidence bothered him. Most species would be broadcasting surrender terms by now or begging for mercy. Instead, the humans seemed to be preparing for something. All ships, Thurok commanded. Maintain formation but be ready to move. I have a feeling these humans might surprise us. He had no idea how right he was. Warcast Thurok decided that this moment deserved an audience. The humans had provided excellent entertainment, and the galaxy should witness Zephyrian superiority in action. He opened communication channels to broadcast across the system. Attention all vessels and monitoring stations, Thurok announced, his voice carrying across space to anyone listening. You are about to witness why the Zephyrian hegemony rules the stars. He gestured to his communications officer, who immediately began transmitting on all frequencies. Within minutes, the confrontation would be visible to ships throughout the sector. Thurok wanted every species to see what happened when someone challenged the hegemony. Look upon this human vessel. Thurok continued his broadcast, focusing the main camera on the Prometheus. They call it a warship. We call it a cargo hauler that lost its way. Laughter echoed through the communication channels as other Zephyrian commanders joined the conversation. Ship Commander Vex of the Crystal Spear was the first to speak. Warcast, surely this is some kind of training exercise. No species would be foolish enough to send a single freight ship against our fleet. Perhaps, replied Ship Commander Zalt from the Shard of Victory. The humans don't understand the concept of warfare. Their intelligence files say they only achieved spaceflight 3 centuries ago. They're practically infants, Thurok nodded approvingly. His commanders understood the importance of this moment. Every species in the galaxy needed to learn that challenging the hegemony meant destruction. Tell me, Ship Commander Vex, Thurok said. What do our intelligence reports say about human military capabilities? Vex's image appeared on a side screen, his mandibles clicking with amusement. Primitive chemical rockets for atmospheric flight. Basic fusion drives for space travel. Their largest warships are barely 600 meters long and armed with simple projectile weapons. They fight wars by throwing metal slugs at each other. Metal slugs, roared Ship Commander Zalt. How wonderfully primitive. Do they also use pointed sticks and thrown rocks? More laughter filled the communication channels. Thurok let his commanders enjoy themselves. Morale was important, and this situation provided perfect entertainment for his crews. Sir, interrupted his tactical officer, the human ship is broadcasting again. Thurok turned back to the main screen where Captain Vasquez appeared. She looked exactly as calm as before, showing no sign that she understood her hopeless situation. "Warcast Thurok," she said clearly, "I am transmitting the complete text of the Galactic Accords, specifically Section 12 regarding colonial rights and territorial sovereignty. You have 1 hour to withdraw from this system." The silence on the communication channels lasted exactly 3 seconds before the laughter started again. This time it was even louder than before. "1 hour!" gasped Ship Commander Vex. "She's giving us an ultimatum." "What happens after 1 hour?" asked Ship Commander Zalt. "Will she file a complaint with the Galactic Senate?" Thurok held up a hand for quiet. "Captain Vasquez," he said, trying to control his amusement, "let me explain something about galactic politics. The Accords were written by species who had the power to enforce them. Your species was not involved because you had no power. You still have no power." "Power comes in many forms," Vasquez replied. "Yes, and we have all of them." Thurok gestured to his fleet display. "Energy weapons that can crack planets, shields that can absorb the output of stars, armor forged from crystallized quantum fields. Your ship appears to be made of ordinary metal and hope. Appearances can deceive. Not when the difference is this obvious." Thurok's voice hardened. "You are embarrassing yourself, human. Your bravery is admirable but pointless. Surrender now and we will treat you with the respect due a courageous fool." Captain Vasquez turned to speak with her crew again. Thurok caught more technical terms: cascade parameters and dimensional stability. He assumed these were engineering problems with their ancient engines. "Sir," his sensor operator called out, "I'm still reading those unusual energy signatures from the human ship. They're increasing." "Let me guess," said Ship Commander Vex over the communication link. "They're charging their mighty cargo lasers to cut through our hulls. Maybe they plan to ram us," suggested Ship Commander Zalt. "It would be appropriately primitive." Thurok studied the tactical display. The human ship had positioned itself almost exactly 50,000 kilometers from his nearest vessels. An interesting distance. Too far for effective ramming, too close for a hyperspace jump. Perhaps they really were planning to run. "Warcast," called his communications officer. "We're receiving signals from monitoring stations throughout the sector. Everyone is watching. Excellent. Make sure they get a clear view of what happens next." Thurok opened his fleet channels. "All ships assume attack formation Delta. I want every human in this system to see our power." The 47 Zephyrian ships moved with practiced precision, their crystal hulls refracting starlight as they arranged themselves in a perfect battle formation. Each ship was positioned to provide overlapping fields of fire, while maintaining optimal shield coverage. It was a formation designed to destroy entire battle fleets. Against a single human cargo ship, it was massive overkill. That was exactly the point. "Beautiful," murmured Ship Commander Vex. "The humans below must be watching this display and understanding their future. If they're smart, they're already preparing surrender documents," added Ship Commander Zalt to Thurok, focused on the Prometheus again. The ship looked even smaller and more pathetic surrounded by his magnificent fleet. Captain Vasquez appeared on screen again, still showing that strange calm confidence. "Final warning," she broadcast. "Withdraw from the system immediately. You will not receive another chance." Another chance. Thurok couldn't hide his disbelief. "Human, look around you. You are one ship facing 47. Your weapons, whatever they are, couldn't scratch our paint. Your shields, if you even have shields, couldn't stop a child's toy. What possible threat could you represent?" "We represent humanity," Vasquez said simply. "That should be threat enough." The comment brought more laughter from the Zephyrian commanders, but Thurok noticed something else. Several of his sensor operators were reporting increasing energy readings from the human ship. Whatever they were doing over there, it was consuming enormous amounts of power. "Sir," his chief tactical officer reported privately, "power output from the human vessel now exceeds anything in our databases. They're drawing more energy than our own main weapons. From a cargo ship? That's impossible. The readings are confirmed across all sensors." Thurok frowned. This didn't make sense. Intelligence reports clearly stated that human technology was centuries behind Zephyrian systems. A freight ship shouldn't be capable of generating that much power. "Could it be a reactor overload?" he asked. "Negative, sir. The energy is controlled and directed." "Directed where?" "Unknown. The configuration doesn't match any known weapon system." Thurok made a decision. The humans were obviously preparing something desperate. Better to end this quickly before they hurt themselves or cause some kind of accident. All ships, he commanded, prepare to fire. Target the human vessel's engines and weapon systems. I want them disabled, not destroyed. Sir, Captain Vasquez's voice came through the communication channel again. You should know that our ship is equipped with experimental defensive systems. This is your final opportunity to withdraw peacefully. Experimental defensive systems? Thurok repeated. On a cargo hauler? Like I said, appearances can deceive. Thurok looked at his tactical display one more time. 47 ships of the line against one small human vessel. Whatever experiment the humans were conducting, it couldn't possibly threaten his fleet. All ships, he announced, power weapons. Let's show the galaxy what happens to those who challenge the hegemony. Energy readings spiked across his fleet as massive plasma lances charged to full power. In 60 seconds they would fire, and this entertainment would be over. Thurok just hoped the humans would survive long enough to be questioned about their experimental defensive systems. He was genuinely curious about what desperate plan they had devised. He would find out soon enough. Inside the Prometheus, Captain Elena Vasquez watched the Zephyrian fleet prepare for battle. 47 massive ships arranged in perfect formation, their weapons charging, their commanders confident of easy victory. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Dr. Chen, she called to her chief engineer. Status report. Dr. Marcus Chen looked up from his console, his face illuminated by displays showing power levels that would have been impossible on any normal ship. Quantum cascade generator at 95% charge, Captain. Dimensional anchors are stable. We'll be ready to fire in 30 seconds. Excellent. Vasquez turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Morrison confirmed target acquisition. All 47 enemy vessels locked into the targeting system, Captain. The cascade field will encompass their entire formation. Vasquez nodded. 3 years of preparation had led to this moment. 3 years of building the most classified weapon in human history, hidden inside a ship designed to look like an ordinary freight hauler. The Zephyrians had fallen for the deception perfectly. Communications. Open a channel to the enemy commander one final time. Warcast Thurok appeared on the main screen, his forearms moving across weapon controls. Behind him, his bridge crew worked with the efficiency of experienced killers. They were about to learn that experience meant nothing when facing the unknown. Warcast Thurok, Vasquez said calmly. I am giving you one last chance to withdraw. My ship is equipped with a weapon system that represents a breakthrough in theoretical physics. You cannot defend against something that operates outside conventional physical laws. Thurok's laughter boomed through the communication channel. Human, your desperation is showing. Breakthrough in theoretical physics? You people barely understand fusion power. Your entire species has been in space for less time than I've been alive. That's exactly why you should be worried, Vasquez replied. Young species think differently. We haven't learned what's supposed to be impossible. Sir, Thurok's tactical officer could be heard in the background. Enemy weapons are now showing power levels equal to our entire fleet combined. How is that possible from such a small ship? Thurok glanced at his displays, his confidence flickering for just a moment. Then he shook his massive head. Sensor malfunction. There's no way a human cargo ship could generate that much power. It's not a cargo ship, Vasquez said quietly. What? The Prometheus isn't a cargo ship, Warcast. It's a weapons platform. Everything else, the civilian appearance, the freight ship design, the worn-out hull, it's all camouflage. As she spoke, hidden panels along the Prometheus's hull began to retract. The ship's true nature revealed itself as armor plating slid away to expose a massive internal chamber that ran nearly the entire length of the vessel. Strange energies danced within the chamber, casting eerie light across geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Impossible, breathed Thurok, staring at the transformation. Our intelligence reports are exactly what we wanted you to believe, Vasquez interrupted. Did you think we would reveal our true capabilities to potential enemies? Humanity learned the value of misdirection long before we reached the stars. Dr. Chen's voice cut through the bridge conversation. Captain, Cascade generator at full charge. Dimensional matrix is stable. We are ready to fire on your command. Vasquez looked at the tactical display showing the Zephyrian fleet. Each ship represented thousands of lives, warriors who believed they were fighting for their people's expansion across the galaxy. She felt no pleasure in what was about to happen, only the grim satisfaction of protecting human colonies from conquest. What is that weapon? Thurok demanded, his voice carrying a note of uncertainty for the first time. "We call it Project Damocles," Vasquez explained, named after an ancient human story about the danger of absolute power. "It's a controlled quantum cascade reaction that creates brief tears in space-time itself. That's impossible. No species has ever weaponized quantum mechanics at that level. No species ever tried. Most civilizations develop along predictable paths. Better energy shields, more powerful plasma weapons, stronger armor. They improve existing technologies instead of inventing new ones. Humanity took a different approach. The energy readings from the Prometheus now exceeded anything in Zephyrian databases. Thurok's sensor operators were calling out warnings about power levels that should have been physically impossible for a ship that size. "You're bluffing," Thurok said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Even if such a weapon existed, firing it would destroy your own ship. Basic physics doesn't apply to weapons that operate outside normal space-time," Vasquez finished. "We solved the containment problem 18 months ago. The cascade effect is directional and self-limiting. It only affects matter within the target zone." "Sir," Thurok's tactical officer called urgently, "our weapons are charged and ready. Should we fire?" Thurok stared at the transformed human ship. The vessel that had looked like a harmless cargo hauler now appeared alien and threatening. Energy patterns visible through its hull suggested technology beyond anything in the Zephyrian arsenal. "Warcast," Vasquez said softly. "You have 10 seconds to order your fleet to withdraw. After that, I will demonstrate why humanity deserves respect in this galaxy." "You wouldn't dare," Thurok snarled. "Destroying our fleet would mean war with the entire hegemony. Your species would be wiped out within a year, would they, after seeing what one human ship can do to 47 of your best vessels?" Vasquez shook her head. "I think the hegemony would be too busy reconsidering their expansion plans to threaten human space." 5 seconds, Captain," Dr. Chen reported. "All systems optimal." Thurok looked at his tactical display. His fleet could fire in 12 seconds, more than enough time to destroy the human ship before whatever weapon they claimed to have could be used. But doubt gnawed at him. The power readings were real. The transformed ship was real. What if the humans weren't bluffing? "Sir," his tactical officer called. "Orders?" 3 seconds, Captain," came Dr. Chen's voice. Vasquez looked directly at Thurok through the communication screen. "Your choice, Warcast. Withdraw and live, or stay and discover what happens when an unstoppable force meets a fleet that thinks it's immovable." 2 seconds. Thurok's hand hovered over his firing controls. 47 ships against 1. The odds were impossible. But the energy readings from the human vessel suggested something beyond conventional warfare was about to happen. 1 second. "Fire!" Thurok roared, slamming his hand down on the firing control. "Fire!" Vasquez said calmly at exactly the same moment. Space erupted with light as hundreds of plasma lances streaked from the Zephyrian fleet toward the Prometheus. Each beam carried enough energy to vaporize a small moon. Combined, they represented firepower capable of glassing an entire planet. But they were already too late. From the Prometheus's primary weapon array, something invisible and terrible raced across space at near light speed. It wasn't energy or matter in any conventional sense. It was a controlled tear in reality itself. A cascade of quantum dissolution that unmade the fundamental forces holding atoms together. The plasma lances, still racing toward their target, suddenly found they had nothing to hit. The Zephyrian fleet, proud and mighty just seconds before, was no longer there. Not destroyed. Not scattered. Not broken. Simply gone. As if it had never existed at all. Where 47 warships had dominated space, only empty vacuum remained. No debris, no energy signatures, no trace that anything had ever been there except the shocked silence of monitoring stations across the system. The Prometheus drifted alone in the sudden quiet, its impossible weapon already powering down. On its bridge, Captain Vasquez closed her eyes for a moment, then opened a communication channel to New Carthage below. "Colonial shipping lanes are clear," she said simply. "Resume normal operations. The demonstration was complete." The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The silence lasted exactly 14 seconds. Across the Kepler 442 system, automated monitoring stations struggled to process what their sensors had recorded. Emergency broadcasts began flooding subspace communication networks as the impossible footage spread from system to system. Within minutes, half the galaxy would witness the moment that changed everything. On the bridge of the Prometheus, Captain Elena Vasquez sat quietly in her command chair, watching the empty space where the Zephyrian fleet had been. 47 massive warships had simply ceased to exist, their atoms scattered across dimensions that human science barely understood. "Dr. Chen," she said softly. "Weapons status?" The chief engineer was staring at his displays with a mixture of awe and horror. "Quantum cascade generator is powering down normally, Captain. All safety protocols engaged. The dimensional tiers have sealed themselves as predicted. Casualties? None aboard our ship. The cascade field was precisely controlled." Dr. Chen paused. "As for the Zephyrian fleet, there's nothing left to have casualties. The effect was instantaneous and complete." Lieutenant Morrison at the tactical station looked up from his sensor readings. "Captain, I'm not detecting any debris whatsoever. No energy signatures, no matter dispersal. Nothing. It's like those ships never existed." Vasquez nodded grimly. This was exactly what the theoretical models had predicted. But seeing it happen was different from reading about it in classified reports. The quantum cascade weapon didn't destroy matter in the conventional sense. It caused atomic structures to lose cohesion at the subatomic level, allowing the component particles to drift into parallel dimensions. "Sir," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving priority transmissions from Earth Command, the Galactic Senate, and approximately 47 different species governments. Everyone wants to know what just happened." "Later," Vasquez replied. "First, we need to secure this system." She turned to Lieutenant Morrison. "Any sign of other Zephyrian forces in the area?" "Negative, Captain. Deep space scans show no enemy vessels within 3 light-years. We appear to be alone." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The Prometheus now sat in the same position the Zephyrian fleet had occupied minutes before, the dominant military force in the system. But unlike the aliens, humanity had no interest in conquest. Communications. Open a channel to New Carthage colony. The main screen shifted to show the planet below. Governor Patricia Martinez appeared, her face reflecting the shock that everyone in the system was feeling. "Captain Vasquez," the governor said carefully, We saw what happened. Our orbital stations recorded everything. Is it over?" "The immediate threat is eliminated, Governor. Colonial shipping can resume normal operations. However, I recommend increasing planetary defense readiness. Other Zephyrian forces may attempt retaliation." "What exactly did you do to their fleet?" "Our sensors couldn't track any conventional weapons fire." Vasquez chose her words carefully. "The Prometheus is equipped with an experimental defense system. The technical details are classified, but the effectiveness is obvious." Governor Martinez nodded slowly. Will there be consequences? The Zephyrian hegemony has thousands of ships. They won't simply ignore the destruction of an entire fleet. That depends on whether they're capable of learning from this demonstration," Vasquez replied. "If they understand what happened here, they'll reconsider their aggressive expansion policies. If they don't..." She left the sentence unfinished. Dr. Chen was monitoring long-range communication intercepts. "Captain, the footage of our engagement is spreading across the galactic networks. Priority transmissions are being sent to every major government. The Vorthon Empire, the Altarian Republic, even the collective consciousness, everyone is demanding explanations." "Any response from the Zephyrian hegemony leadership?" "Not yet. Their nearest military command is 12 light-years away. The news won't reach them for several hours." Vasquez turned to study the tactical display again. The empty space where the enemy fleet had been looked almost peaceful now. No burning wreckage, no distress signals, just the gentle drift of cosmic dust in the light of distant stars. "Sir?" Lieutenant Morrison called out. "I'm picking up a transmission from the outer system. Long-range civilian vessel requesting permission to approach. Identify. Altarian merchant ship Profit Margin. Captain Tivar is requesting safe passage through the system." Apparently they were waiting outside sensor range during the confrontation. Vasquez almost smiled. The Altarians were notorious traitors who would fly through a supernova if there was profit to be made. "Grant permission. Standard commercial traffic can resume." As the merchant ship began its approach to New Carthage, its captain appeared on a secondary communication screen. Tivar was typical of his species. Tall, thin, with large eyes adapted for low-light environments. His expression showed the careful neutrality of someone trying not to anger whoever had just demonstrated overwhelming military power. "Captain Vasquez," Tavar said politely, "I wish to express the Altarian Republic's appreciation for clearing this system of the illegal blockade. Commerce benefits when shipping lanes remain open." "Understood, Captain Tavar. Safe travels." But before the communication ended, Tavar added quietly, "Captain, if you don't mind my asking, what manner of weapon was that? In 3 centuries of trading across the galaxy, I have never seen anything like it. I'm afraid that information is classified." Tavar nodded knowingly. "Of course. But perhaps you could tell me this. Is humanity interested in expanding its military technology sales? The Altarian Republic would pay very well for such capabilities. The question that would soon be asked by every major power in the galaxy." Vasquez gave the diplomatic answer. "All military technology transfers require approval from Earth Command and the Galactic Senate." After Tavar's ship disappeared toward New Carthage, Dr. Chen approached the captain's chair. "Ma'am, what are your intentions regarding the weapon?" "The galaxy will demand explanations. They'll want to know how we achieved this breakthrough." Vasquez considered the question carefully. 3 years ago, humanity had been seen as a minor species barely worthy of notice. Their colonies were considered easy targets for any aggressive power with sufficient military force. Today, that perception had changed forever. "Dr. Chen, in your opinion, how long before other species develop similar weapons?" The engineer thought for a moment. "The theoretical physics involved requires understanding quantum mechanics at levels most species haven't achieved. Even with access to our research data, I estimate it would take the most advanced civilizations at least 50 years to replicate the technology. Less advanced species might never succeed." 50 years, Vasquez repeated. "Long enough for humanity to establish itself as a major galactic power. Long enough to ensure our colonies are never threatened by simple military superiority again." "Captain," the communications officer called out urgently. "Priority message from Earth Command. Admiral Chen wants immediate debriefing on Project Damocles' combat effectiveness. Tell the Admiral that the test exceeded all theoretical expectations. Full report will be transmitted upon our return to Earth." Vasquez stood from her chair. "Lieutenant Morrison, set course for the Sol system. Best possible speed." "Yes, ma'am." "Estimated arrival in 6 days." As the Prometheus prepared to leave the Kepler 442 system, Captain Vasquez took one last look at the empty space where the Zephyrian fleet had been. 47 ships and their crews had been erased from existence in less than 4 seconds. The knowledge that such power existed would spread across the galaxy within days. Some species would fear humanity now, others would seek alliance. A few might even attempt preemptive attacks before more human ships could be equipped with similar weapons, but none of them would ever again look at a human vessel and assume it was helpless. The age of humanity being dismissed as primitive newcomers was over. Whether the galaxy was ready or not, Earth's children had announced their presence among the stars in the most unmistakable way possible. They had shown that sometimes, one ship could indeed equal 0 fleets. 6 days later, the footage had reached every inhabited system in the galaxy. On Zephyros Prime, the hegemony's capital world, the emergency session of the War Council had been running for 18 hours straight. High Warcast Thurok the Elder, father of the fleet commander who had died at Kepler 442, stood before a massive holographic display showing the final moments of 47 warships. "Play it again," he commanded, his voice hollow with grief and disbelief. The recording showed the Prometheus firing its impossible weapon. One moment, the pride of the Zephyrian fleet dominated the battlefield. The next, empty space. No explosion, no debris field, no trace that thousands of warriors had ever existed. Analysis? Thurok the Elder asked his science advisors. Chief Researcher Vak stepped forward, his forearms trembling slightly. "High Warcast. Our best theoretical physicists have studied this recording for days. The energy patterns suggest the humans have weaponized quantum cascade reactions at a scale we believed impossible. Explain it in terms I can understand. They unmade our ships, sir. Not destroyed them, unmade them. The weapon causes matter to lose cohesion at the atomic level. Our vessels were scattered across dimensions we cannot even detect." Silence filled the War Council chamber. Finally, Thurok the Elder spoke again. "Can we defend against this weapon?" "Unknown. Our shields are designed to deflect energy and deflect projectiles. This attack operates outside conventional physics. It might be like trying to shield against gravity itself. Another Warcast member spoke up. What about retaliation? We have thousands of ships. Surely we can overwhelm one human vessel. Vax's mandibles clicked nervously. Respectfully, Warcast, we don't know if they have only one such ship. The humans clearly planned this demonstration carefully. They may have entire fleets equipped with these weapons. Or, added another researcher, they may have even more advanced weapons they haven't revealed yet. If they achieved this breakthrough, what else might they have developed in secret? Across the galaxy, similar conversations were taking place in the halls of power of every major civilization. On the crystal spires of Vorthon Prime, the Empire's Strategic Council was reaching a very different conclusion than the Zephyrians. Chancellor Zeltar studied intelligence reports about human industrial capacity with growing interest. How many ships does Earth currently maintain? She asked her intelligence chief. Approximately 800 vessels, Chancellor. Mostly cargo ships and small patrol craft. Their military fleet numbers fewer than 50 ships. And their population? 12 billion on Earth. Another 8 billion across their colonies. By galactic standards, a minor species. Chancellor Zeltar's crystalline features reflected light as she considered this information. A species of 20 billion individuals has developed weapons that can erase our most powerful fleets from existence. What happens when their population reaches 100 billion? A trillion? Chancellor? Contact the Earth government. The Vorthon Empire wishes to discuss a mutual defense treaty. Immediately. The Altarian Republic was having similar thoughts, but from their characteristic commercial perspective. In the trading halls of Altair Station, Republic President Jorak addressed an emergency session of the Merchant Council. The humans have disrupted the galactic balance of power, he announced. Military strength no longer depends on fleet size or conventional firepower. A single human ship can defeat entire armadas. What does this mean for trade? Asked Councillor Vex. It means humanity's colonies are now the safest trading destinations in the galaxy. No pirate fleet, no aggressive expansion force will dare attack human space if they believe even one ship with this weapon might respond. Should we seek exclusive trading rights with Earth? Immediately. And we should offer them very favorable terms. Species with weapons that can unmake matter deserve careful handling. But not every government was considering peaceful responses. In the depths of the collective consciousness's central processing matrix, millions of artificial minds debated humanity's new capabilities. The collective had always believed that biological species were inherently inferior to synthetic intelligence. This belief was now being challenged. The humans have achieved technological advancement that our predictive model suggested was impossible, reported Processing Unit Alpha 7. Analysis indicates they approached the problem from an angle we had not considered, added Unit Beta 3. Instead of improving existing weapon systems, they invented entirely new physical principles. This suggests human creativity operates outside our analytical parameters, Unit Alpha 7 continued. If they can surprise us once, they can surprise us again. The debate raged through the collective's networks for hours before reaching a consensus. Humanity must be studied carefully. Their unpredictable innovation represents either a valuable asset to be acquired or a dangerous threat to be eliminated. On Earth itself, Captain Vasquez stood in a secure briefing room beneath Geneva, facing the most powerful individuals in human government. The footage from Kepler 442 played on screens around the room as she delivered her report. Project Damocles exceeded all theoretical expectations, she concluded. The weapon performed flawlessly and demonstrated complete tactical superiority over conventional fleet actions. Secretary General Chen leaned forward. Captain, in your professional opinion, how has this changed humanity's position in galactic politics? Completely, sir. We are no longer seen as a minor species. Every major government is reassessing their policies toward human space. Some seek alliance, others fear us, and a few are likely considering preemptive action. Preemptive action? Attacking us before we can build more ships with similar capabilities. Defense Minister Williams spoke up. How quickly can we construct additional Damocles-class vessels? Dr. Chen, who had accompanied Vasquez to Earth, answered. The Prometheus took 3 years to build, including weapon development time. Now that the technology is proven, we could launch a second ship within 18 months. A full fleet of 12 vessels within 5 years. and other species' ability to develop countermeasures? At least 50 years for the most advanced civilizations. Many species may never achieve the necessary theoretical breakthroughs. Secretary General Chen stood and walked to the main display showing galactic political boundaries. Ladies and gentlemen, we have approximately 5 years to establish humanity as a major galactic power before other species develop similar capabilities. I want recommendations for how we use this advantage. Over the following weeks, as reports continued to stream in from across the galaxy, patterns began to emerge. The Zephyrian hegemony had quietly withdrawn from 3 contested systems, apparently unwilling to risk another confrontation with human forces. The Vorthan Empire had proposed a mutual defense treaty with surprisingly generous terms. Altarian traders were offering exclusive shipping contracts to human colonies. But more concerning were reports from intelligence services. The collective consciousness was massing survey fleets near human space, ostensibly for research purposes. Several smaller aggressive species were forming coalitions, possibly planning combined attacks before humanity could build more advanced warships. Most interesting was the response from the ancient architects, a species so advanced they rarely acknowledged younger civilizations at all. For the first time in recorded history, they had sent a direct message to Earth government. The species called humanity has demonstrated capabilities that interest us. We wish to discuss matters of mutual importance. A meeting will be arranged at the location and time of your choosing. Captain Vasquez, now promoted to Admiral and placed in command of humanity's advanced weapons program, read the message with mixed feelings. Recognition from the architects meant humanity had truly arrived as a major galactic power. But it also meant they were now playing in a game with stakes beyond anything they had previously imagined. "Sir," her aide reported, "we've received 17 more requests for alliance treaties, 9 trade proposals, and 3 what appear to be surrender offers from minor species. Any threats? None direct, but intelligence suggests at least 12 species are attempting to develop quantum cascade weapons, based on recordings of our demonstration." Admiral Vasquez looked out at the construction yards orbiting Earth, where the hulls of 6 new Damocles-class ships were taking shape. In 18 months, humanity would have a small but devastating fleet. In 5 years, they would be untouchable by any conventional force. The question was whether the galaxy would give them 5 years. "Admiral," her aide continued, "there's one more message. Priority transmission from the Zephyrian hegemony. High Warcast Thurok the Elder wishes to discuss peace terms." Vasquez smiled grimly. 6 months ago, the Zephyrians had dismissed humanity as primitive cargo haulers. Now their leadership wanted to negotiate from a position of weakness. "Schedule the meeting," she said, "but make it clear that humanity's terms are non-negotiable. Any species that threatens human colonies or shipping will face the same fate as the fleet at Kepler 442. The message would be transmitted across the galaxy within hours. Let every civilization know that the small young species called humanity had developed teeth, sharp teeth, and they were not afraid to use them.